Hello, viewers. My name is Monish, and you're watching our webinar on CalmSage. So, in the last session, we talked about being there for a friend in despair, and I hope the tips that we shared with you helped you, and you were there for your friend. This time, we have a very special segment to share with all of you. It's about the upcoming celebration that we have in all of our lives. With the skies painted in pink hues, we are going to host this session over International Women's Day. And our topic would be rediscovering womanhood to break the shackles of inhibition. To talk on the topic, we have our expert Anjali with us. Anjali, welcome.
Thank you so much, Manish, for the introduction. Hello to all the pretty souls out there. With Women's Day just around the corner, I hope you are really excited about this webinar. I hope many of you might be aware of the fact that since the year 2010, the UN gives a specific theme to each year's Women's Day. And this year, the theme is I am Generation Equality, Realizing the Women's Right. Hashtag Each for Equal.
So, Anjali, I believe it is the need of the hour. We have been listening too much about feminism and equality and why it is necessary and why women are being pushed back and they are not up in the society. So, why do you think? What is equality, what it is not, and what feminism means to you?
Thank you, Manish, for asking this question because, as I just said, the theme of this year's International Women's Day is all about equality. So, before I could, share my viewpoints on what gender equality is, I would like to give an insight that it is a very, subjective concept, gender equality. I believe each one of us sitting here on this end and on that end will have different viewpoints about how they view gender equality as a person. But it is important to understand this thing that what gender equality is and what it is not, because there are many misconceptions that roam around that are floating over this concept. So before I could define it, I have a small example to share with you all that think of a man and a woman who are canoeing a kayak from one end of a shore to another. Now you're giving the men very fancy canoeing equipment, say paddle, life jackets and other things, say helmet and things like that. But what you're giving to women is a broken paddle. Is this what you call gender equality, Monish?
I highly doubt that is any equality there.
Yeah, agreed. So, will you call this situation equal when the woman is given the same side as the man is sitting on, or giving the same muscle part to the man as the women, giving the same muscle part to the women as the man has?
I guess not.
Yeah, exactly. Gender equality is not being able to have the same manpower as the man has. Like, that is not how women should demand gender equality. It is rather having the same equipments that the man is having for the canoeing, the fancy life jacket, the paddles, and these things are what gender equality is. To put it in a nutshell, I would say that gender equality for me is all about three things. First, opportunities. Second, resources. And third, civil rights. When I talk about opportunities, I mean that women should be given equal opportunities in spheres of education, workplace, and economic status, and all other factors in other spheres of the life. When I talk about resources, I'll get back to the example that I just shared with the viewers that when I talk about resources, it's like, you are giving the same paddle, life jacket and other equipments to women as they are being provided to the men. Third is civil right. That is what the theme of this International Women's Day is all about. That, by and large, I believe women have the civil rights available to them, but they're not aware of them, and sometimes they don't make the right use of it. So this has to be changed. And when you'll have access to these things, equality is likely to follow.
Yeah, it was very nicely put. But since we are talking about inequalities, could you just throw some light on what are these inequalities? What is the root cause of them?
Well, see, Monish, I believe that inequalities arises from both the sources, from internal sources as well as from the external sources. But these internal and external sources have a seed source, which is stereotypes. Stereotypes is a major reason why these inequalities actually arise.
Okay, could you define it a bit more as the stereotype is
Yeah.
like picking up in the society?
Yeah, but before I could define stereotypes, I would like Monish that what is your viewpoint on stereotypes?
I guess stereotype, as I've heard from different social platforms, is a fixed idea about someone or something that people usually hold in the society and they don't like to change and just like to follow it blindly.
Well, Monish, pat on your back, you were pretty close. So, stereotypes basically are certain thought patterns or schemas, as we call it, that you have regarding a particular group or members of group. Okay, so the same applies to women. Considering women as a group, we have certain thought patterns that we like to imply on this particular members of group, that is women. Okay, so for the understanding of our viewers and in general, I divided stereotypes into two categories. First stereotype is the to-do stereotypes. Now these stereotypes have the typical to-do concept, the element I would say attached with it. So I would take an example here, that is a woman has to bear a child. So this is a to-do thing that you have to, and these are known as descriptive, because this phenomena of giving birth to a new one is what defines you as a woman. Like, it's a description of women basically. So these are the to-do stereotypes, which I think are natural and they're okay. Next, moving to the should-do stereotypes. Now the should-do stereotypes fall in the category of perspective stereotypes. It will differ from an individual to individual. As a woman, it depends on you, how you want to take them. So basically, if you are believing these type of stereotypes, then these inequalities are arising from within you. Coming back to from where we started,
Yeah.
as Manish said, sorry Manish, no offense, but as Manish said, the sky is turning pink, marking International Women's Day around the corner. But is that the case? Why we always associate the color pink with women? Why can't we associate any other color with women other than pink? Say black, red, orange, or anything that comes to any color that comes to your mind. This is a stereotype that as a woman you should choose pink as a definite or as an identified color of your gender, which shouldn't be the case, I believe.
Okay, I guess this all comes like when the society as a whole holds a idea, holds a stereotype. I guess that is a kind of an external force.
Yeah,
Are
agreed.
there any kind of internal forces kind of like that?
Yeah, as I just said that, these should do stereotypes, when you try to fit in these the should do stereotypes, the perspective stereotypes, then they are internal stereotypes basically, because you are trying to put yourself into these
Okay.
stereotypes. So yeah, that's the case.
Okay, so like that was quite impactful. It's like you need to make use of your own assets.
Yeah.
You need to make a change, right?
Yeah, agreed. So as I just said that these stereotypes are external, and stats suggest that you have very minimal control over the external stereotypes, and I'm not being sarcastic here. It is true. Even the researchers support the notion that since the year 2002 things were changing, and they were changing in the way that women were progressive in a positive manner. The curve was positive while the women were progressing. But ever since 2002, the time has changed, and it is very sad to say, but the graph is not going in the right direction at all. And this marks the thing that internal changes have to be there, because external changes, of course, they are taking place simultaneously in your environment. But until unless you as women won't bring internal changes within you, the society won't progress as a whole. And this is what the webinar is all about, rediscovering womanhood. And for this segment, I would like to share some tips, as Manish just said, that I would like to throw some light on how you can change these internal stereotypes that have been guiding you pretty offside of what womanhood is all about. And this segment is what I would like to call as break stereotypes through inner strengths.
Okay, so like how would you be describing this?
Yeah. I'll be sharing 5 simple tips, and Manish, I assure you here that these tips are not only simple and effective, but they are so easy to implement. And I think putting aside the Women Day aspect, you as an individual, as a human being, should also imply these tips because they are going to promote your mental health and well-being for sure. So my first sweet and simple message to all the viewers out there is stop leaning back. And when I say stop leaning back, what I'm trying to portray is just be yourself. Don't hold yourself, don't hold your thoughts, wishes and desires. Just, straighten up your back, shake your hands and get that body moving with the word get going. Why? Because, I would like to share a small study here which is very interactive, I would say, which I really like. And the study is Hidds and Howard study, as they call it, and even I like to call it this way. There was a woman in Silicon Valley. She was such an amazing capitalist that people did a case study on her. Like, they conducted a case study on her, and after a few years of that case study, a professor gave to the two student groups basically. So he made a slight change in how the experiment took place. To one group of students, he gave this case study with the name Heidi, and to the second group, he gave the case study with the name Howard. So basically male and female distinction was made here. It was seen that when the students were asked to tell that who was more competent, so it was seen that luckily students found both the characteristics, both the studies equally competent. But what the alarming finding of the study was that people were more likely to work with Howard than Heidi. They consider Heidi as to be very outspoken and very political, but characteristics were same, of course, for both the case studies. But in case of Howard, what they thought that these are the ideal leadership skills and they would like to work with Howard. So does this mean, I'm asking this question, I'm putting this question to all the women out there, that does this mean that we should stop being as successful or stop having the top-notch qualities that Heidi showed? No, my friends, that's not the correct answer. Instead, do what exactly Heidi did. Just keep doing it without focusing on what society wants from you. Coming to the second tip of mine, know your abilities. I was watching a video before coming to the webinar, and I saw Cheryl, the COO of Facebook, sharing an insightful tip that women significantly underestimate their own abilities. There was a study conducted in which, there was a group of men and women. They both were asked themselves, there were certain questions given to them on a very concrete criteria, say GPAs, and it was found that men tend to score slightly and wrongly high, and women tend to score slightly and wrongly low. This clearly depicts that men try to overestimate their abilities, and we as women ourselves try to underestimate our own abilities, which shouldn't be the case. Instead, you should be very well aware of your abilities in order to break those stereotypes and get out of them and shine bright as a star. Okay, Manish, moving further, the third tip that I have to share with our viewers is negotiate for yourself. And my sweethearts watching this video, when I say negotiate for yourself, I'm trying to say here, stand for yourself and be assertive. Women often are taught or they are brought up in a way where they are told to be passive all the time. But if you're going to be passive, then you are not going to be on the table or have a stand for yourself. So this pattern has to be changed, and you have to learn to be assertive. Now, often people confuse being assertive with being aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a small activity here for our viewers, so they can understand that what being assertive is, what being aggressive is, and what being passive is, and you can follow the right path. So because I don't have any other live creature around me, so I have Manish, and he has to volunteer. Manish, are you up to volunteer for this activity?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you have no other option, I would say. Yeah, so the activity is that suppose there is a woman named X or a man named X, and he just walks to you and say, hey, I borrowed your pen or maybe your hairband from your drawer. So there are 3 situations in which you can respond. Situation 1, you'll say, you can ask me if you need a hairband or a pen from me. I may help you in a better way. Please ask next time. Situation B, you would just say, don't touch my things without my permission. You should have asked me. Leave my things alone. Now, situation C, you might just shrug your shoulder and say, okay, or alright, I don't mind. So, what would be your take on this, Manish?
I guess I will choose option A.
Wow, I'm impressed. Bravo, Manish. You have the skills of being assertive here. So, viewers, if you choose option A, you are showing assertiveness. That means you're keeping your point without being aggressive. Okay? If you choose situation B where you're saying, don't touch my things, you're being aggressive. And that might, turn tables in the opposite direction and instead of turning tables in your favor. So, this is not recommended. Third, if you choose to shrug your shoulders, then sorry, the growth chart is going to be very steady for you and you're not going to rise high because you are being passive. You are not putting your point forward, and that is something which I'm trying to portray here, that negotiate for yourself and take your stand. Alright, so yeah, one more clear message I have here for the viewer is that being assertive is about being clear and being direct instead of having a sense of humor or sarcasm in your sentence. You can't be like, oh, you took the hairband from my band. That is clear sarcasm. You aren't supposed to give sarcasm. You have to be clear and very direct with your message, and it has to be conveyed very politely. So, negotiate for yourself smartly and wisely.
Okay, so that was quite detailed and truly inspirational. Thank you for that. Here we have a question from one of our viewers. His name is Ankit, and his question is quite specific as well.
Okay.
It's, why do you think that there is a stigma related to female car drivers? Like, not a lot of people give a thought, but this is mild sexism and I guess sarcasm. So, like, how should one deal with this?
See, there's a very old saying that a fish can, a dead fish can make the whole pond stink. So maybe initially when women started to drive, they couldn't drive so well because of course it was a new skill for them, and women have more emotional turmoils and roller coaster going in as compared to a man, and the results weren't favorable on the roads and the outcomes weren't in favor or they weren't so good. So what happened is that is where the stereotypes come in. That women, as just Mr. Ankit said, thank you so much, Ankit, for putting forward this question as well. That as he just said that then the stigma gets attached that women can't drive because they had one experience or maybe two experience where women was not driving, or maybe the previous experiences is coloring the whole picture of how they're seeing the situations right now, which I think shouldn't be the case. And yes, very rightly said, it is a form of mild sexism there when you are saying that women drivers are bad or women shouldn't drive, they shouldn't be given license and things like that. There are some amazing women driver out there as well. There are various G clubs, driving clubs and things like that where women are doing wonders. So yes, man, you really need to shed off that stigma out of your head right now. So the fourth point is understanding your success. Maybe for your mother and even for your best friend, the definition of success is getting married by the age of 25 and having kids by the age of 30. But you really don't have to put yourself in this fixed definition of success. Manish, it's important to understand the definition. The success is not like a jar in which you have to fit in yourself. Rather, it's a scent that you carry for yourself, for your own peace, and others want to know about this scent that you carry. This is the beauty of success, I believe. And there is of course a way to find that what success means to you. And I would like to share it with our viewers that introspect yourself. All the answers lie within you. So you have to introspect yourself to find what success means to you. So yeah, you can introspect yourself by asking questions like, what do I want from my life? What do I enjoy doing the most? And various other questions like this. And I bet you're gonna get your way to success right there in front of you. And all you have to do is follow it with all your heart. Moving further, support each other. Now I'm going to share something bitter as it is, that even STET supports that, although I would like to give this disclaimer that women are wired to destroy each other. And oops, this might sound a little harsh, but this is the truth. Even STET suggests this that women are trying to pull each other's leg instead of giving that step to the other women through which they can climb and achieve their goals of life, which shouldn't be the case. Reasons: first, girls, the number of women over men across the globe is very disproportionate, and you joining the other end of the team is surely not doing good for the womanhood. So yeah, here as a woman, I would encourage you to support each other instead of putting each other down. Change the hashtag he from she to she for she. Moving further, I would encourage all the women out there that put your foot on the gas pedal and get going. The change will start from you. Look in yourself, you have that capability, and just start rediscovering womanhood altogether.
Okay, like that was really inspirational, quite inspirational. And I'm sure, like, if we as a society as a whole, if we all follow these tips, then our Women's Day celebration would be flat as a pancake.
Agreed.
And before we wrap up this session, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, thank you so much, Manish, for the reminder. I came prepared to share a brownie tip with all the viewers. And this brownie tip is practice self-love. We as women are so busy loving others that we forget to love ourselves. So my message to you is very clear. Love the skin you're in, love the hair you carry, love the weight you have, love those stretch marks on you, love everything about yourself. You are incomplete without your flaws. Try to love those flaws of yours. Try to love yourself as a person you are instead of trying to be someone else. Of course, you can take inspiration and motivation from others, but this doesn't mean that you should stop loving yourself. So women, all the women out there, start practicing self-love. And if you need tips to practice self-love, I bet CalmSage has many informational blogs available on their website for you that will tell you how to practice self-love, from eating healthy to escaping loneliness and listening to music and even snuggling with your pets. And these are just few tips that I'm going to share with you. For more elaborated version of these, you can surely visit CalmSage.
Okay, so like that was quite great.
Thank you, Manish.
And with this, we bring our session to an end, this webinar to an end. And I would just like to wrap up this session with a few key pointers Anjali just gave. We talked about stereotypes, the gender stereotypes. We talked about inequality the women face, the feminism.
Yeah.
And how like feminists want to fight for it.
Yeah.
We also talked about how like in different case studies it was found out that we as a society are inclined towards supporting male portion of the society rather than supporting the feminine side of the society. So that is quite that is something we need to change.
Yeah, agreed.
As soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a brownie tip for all our viewers.
Yeah.
So I guess it would have helped you users. I'm sure that it was a great session and informative as well for you guys.
Thank you viewers for being so calm and interested listeners for this webinar. I wish you all a very happy International Women's Day once again, and please don't forget to share this video with one lady love of yours and motivate them to rediscover womanhood all together. Thank you so much.
And without a pinch of doubt, so with this we bring our webinar to an end. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more such awesome content on CalmSage.
Thank you. See you soon. Take
Thank
care.
you. Have a great day. Goodbye.